I didn't tell anyone when the email came in. Not right away. I read it once, then again, just to make sure I wasn't filling in anything that wasn't actually there. Acceptance. My name. The program I had been working toward for years, quietly, without making a point of it at home. I sat there for a while after, not celebrating, just holding it, because I knew what came next. When I finally told them, it wasn't dramatic. Dinner. Normal conversation. I waited for a pause that felt natural enough to fit it in. "I got accepted," I said. That was it. My father looked up first, then laughed. Not loudly. Just enough to signal that whatever I'd said didn't need to be taken seriously. "You're not special," he said. "We're not wasting money on that." My mother didn't disagree. She just nodded slightly, like something had been confirmed. The conversation moved on. Just like that. No questions about the program, no curiosity, no hesitation. It didn't feel like rejection. It felt like alignment, like the outcome had already been decided before I ever applied. I didn't argue. There wasn't anything to argue against. You can't debate something that's already settled in someone else's mind. So I went back to my room that night and started thinking in practical terms. Not, how do I convince them? Just, what happens next? 3 weeks later, I came home to find my things outside. Not thrown, not scattered, placed. Boxes stacked, clothes folded into bags, shoes lined up near the edge of the lawn. It looked organized, intentional. My mother was standing near the door. She didn't look upset. "Time to be a man," she said. No build-up, no explanation. Just a statement. I stood there for a second, taking it in. Not the shock of it, but the clarity. This wasn't a reaction. It was a decision. I reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, and took a photo. The angle wasn't perfect. The lighting was uneven, but it captured what it needed to. I looked at it for a second. Then I smiled. Not because it was funny. Because it was funny. Because it was final. The first few weeks were quiet. Not easy. Not overwhelming either. Just a series of small problems that needed solving. Where to stay, how to cover basic expenses, what to do about school. I didn't figure everything out at once, no one does, but I kept moving. Part-time work turned into something more consistent. Temporary housing turned into something stable enough. The university, my not special plan, became something I approached differently, not as something they had to support, as something I would carry myself. Months passed, not in big defining moments, just accumulation. Bills paid, classes attended, mistakes made, then adjusted. The kind of progress that doesn't look like much from the outside, but feels solid when you're inside it. I didn't hear from them much, which made sense. There wasn't a role for me anymore in the version of things they had chosen. 8 months later, my phone rang, my sister. I almost didn't answer, but I did. Her voice wasn't how I remembered it, not confident, not dismissive. "Tighter, I need help," she said. No greeting, no context, just urgency. "With what?" "The mortgage," she said. "We're behind. It's getting serious." I didn't respond right away. I could hear her breathing on the other end, waiting, not expecting refusal, just expecting an answer. I stood up from my chair and walked over to the small desk near the window. Opened a drawer. The photo was still there. I hadn't looked at it in months. I picked it up, studied it for a second. The boxes, the arrangement, the space where I had been standing. Then I held the phone closer. "Come by," I said. They came that evening, not just her. My parents, too. That surprised me more than anything. They stood in my living room, smaller than the house I grew up in, but mine. They looked around briefly, not commenting, just noticing. My sister started explaining the situation, numbers, deadlines, what needed to be covered. My father didn't speak at first. My mother stood slightly behind them, quiet. I listened, didn't interrupt. When she finished, the room settled into silence. That same kind of silence I remembered from other moments. Waiting for me to step in, to fill the gap, to make it work. I walked over to the desk, picked up the photo, and brought it back with me. Held it out, not dramatically, just enough for them to see. No explanation, no framing, just the image. My mother's eyes moved first, then my father's. My sister leaned slightly closer. No one spoke, they didn't need to, because it wasn't about the photo, it was about what it represented, a moment where something had been decided. Without me, I let the silence sit for a few seconds. Then I lowered the photo. "I figured it out," I said. My voice was even, not cold, not warm. Just clear. "You will too." I didn't raise my voice, didn't add anything else. Because there wasn't anything left to explain. They didn't argue. Not really. There were a few attempts to soften it. "This is different. We're family." But the words didn't carry the same weight they used to. Because I wasn't standing in the same place anymore. They left not long after. No resolution, no agreement, just departure. I put the photo back in the drawer, closed it, sat down again. The room was quiet, not empty, just settled. And for the first time, it felt like the decisions in my life were happening in one place, instead of being made somewhere else and handed down to me.